Hello, everybody, and welcome back to week 36 of tracking our local shifting real estate market, Burlington, Camden, Gloucester counties, 900,000 and below. We are officially out of summer. We are into September. We are beginning to take a look at the end of the year. It's been a long year so far tracking all of this stuff. I'm glad we did because it has been one of the most up and down shifting markets that I can remember in my 8 years of actively selling real estate here in South Jersey. But we have some changes coming up. And this week is not all that unexpected. Almost every year, you're going to get something like this week around this time. And why? What do we have going on this week? Well, it's the end of Labor Day, it's the end of the summer, and a lot of kids are getting back to schools. So, as we take a look at our first couple numbers, first thing, our total active listings went down for the first time since, again, back in the beginning of summer as we've been slowly climbing, right? That's been the trend. We've been slowly climbing with our active available inventory, and that's been on a great rise for these past couple months when it bottomed out back in April. But just this week alone, just a small hair down, and it makes sense, right? Let's take a look at our new listings and our pending column. So anything that brand new came on the market or anything that just went under contract and got an accepted offer, those were about 250 and 240. How many closed units were there this past week? 346, right? So our closed units outpaced both new listings and the under contracts by almost 100. Not total, but against each one. And that makes sense, right? If you got under contract this summer, what did you say? We got to be in the house before the kids get started with school year, right? So that's not unexpected to see a pretty big, not a huge jump up. It's actually been somewhat in line with what these are, but it is expected to see that the new listings and to see those under contracts were slightly down. There's a lot of people who basically are going to say, hey, we tried this summer. We'll try again next summer. There are going to be a number of buyers who are going to drop off of the market this week because they are just saying we're not going to do this while we're in the middle of the kids doing the school year. Kids are in the school year. We've gotten started. Here's what it is. So as we continue to look forward, buyers expect that there's going to be even more options for you because the competition got slightly less. We can see in here one of our categories that did jump up pretty high were the expired, withdrawn, and canceled listings, which again makes sense. There's a lot of people who had their home on the market, and they said if we can do it before the kids start school or anything, we'll do it. And you know what? We jumped up from 72, 73 the last 2 weeks all the way up to 121 expired, withdrawn, or canceled listings. Some of those may come back in the market, some of them may not. So we took a little bit of a hit there, okay? We also see that our price reductions are still up over 100. Not all that surprising with the price reductions. We're going to start to get a pretty normal amount of those going forward. Our days on market are creeping up just a little bit, but our prices have really stayed fairly steady. That has been the number one thing that we can actually hold our hat on, is that since week 30, except for just 1 week, week 31, we have had exactly the same median list price across the board for all three counties. So I'd like to see that we've had some price stability and that the kids are back to school and all that's good. Now, I actually have two other little graphs. I'm going to flip here to the other sheet to show you. But the reason why I want to show you this is this. We know that affordability is at a really hard spot at the moment. We went from 18% of your overall income every month was put to housing, and now it's up to about 29%. And that's we did on the either last week or the week before's video, and we kind of showed where affordability has gone. Now, it's still not crazy high. It's still not up at 50% like it was back in the 80s, right? So we're still okay in those contexts. But there's no mistake that you probably went on a couple vacations this summer. You probably put some of that stuff on credit cards. You are starting to feel the pinch of inflation, although we have heard that the inflation rate has actually started to come down a little bit. So we're going to just start kind of tracking normally again. But we have to figure out a way that if you are going to get yourself into your next home and everything else around you went up in price, where can you be smart about some of your other expenses? And let's take a look at inflation with items with falling prices versus items with fast rising prices. And let me just move my face here into the middle so we can kind of talk about these two things, right? And I'll just move my mouse off this. Now, on the falling prices side, one of the categories that has actually fallen the most, I mean, by far, is actually health insurance. This may be a good opportunity for you if you haven't gone and taken a look at your health insurance in a while. Go talk to your insurance rep. Ask them, hey, I'm considering switching up my health insurance. Is there anything you can do for me, right? most insurance brokers, they like to have those I'm not an insurance broker. They like to have those conversations with people because it gives them something to work on. It gives them an opportunity to maybe save their clients some money, rewrite a new policy, anything like that. So if you haven't checked on your health insurance premiums in a while, take a look at that, because they are down 24.9, almost 25% across the board. So this may be an opportunity where you're locked into a slightly higher payment than you need for all the coverage that you have. So that would be one I would check right now to see, is my health insurance moving with the overall health insurance falling prices during this time period? Okay. Another one that's gone down, which I'm happy to see, is public transportation. If it were me, public transportation would be free, but it is what it is. Car and truck rentals are pretty far down. Computers and smartphones are pretty far down. Used cars and trucks, keep that in mind. Used cars and trucks are actually down, because we're going to flip that to the automotive on the rising side of things. And then there's a number of other categories that fall in here that don't make up nearly as much. But for me, the big one that I see in this is public transportation is way down and health insurance is way down. So if you have the opportunity to maybe use public transportation instead of your own car, save the gas money, right? Save just the mileage that you're going to accrue on your car, that it's going to expedite the need for maintenance and things like that. Those are some of the things that I would take a look at here if you could add them into your budget, so to speak, to bring it down. Now, flipping gears, here are the items that I think you should try and avoid at the moment. And it's not all that surprising. The top 3 categories that we have in the fastest rising prices: motor vehicle insurance, motor vehicle maintenance and repair, and leased cars and trucks. So let's just start with those 3 for a second. So motor vehicle insurance, right? That's gone up 16.9% here. That's pretty darn quick. Now, again, if you would like to be introduced to an insurance partner who can talk to you about these things, who can rerun your policy against a number of companies, it's called an insurance broker. It doesn't cost you any money, because the insurance broker, similar to realtors, especially when we work with the buyers, we get compensated by the insurance company or we get compensated by the seller. So it's really no cost to you as a buyer in real estate and as somebody who's looking to get a new insurance policy to talk with an insurance broker or a realtor, right? Now, if a seller in real estate, it's obviously different because you're listing the home, you're paying both commissions, but let's just keep it for this for now. So that would be one I would check. If you think you're paying a little bit much for insurance at the moment, take a look at that, see if they can rerun it, and see if maybe you even flip out of one that has risen quickly to maybe another program where you can have all the same coverage that just hasn't had the price increase. So that's the first one. Motor vehicle maintenance and repair up 12.7% in terms of the pricing that you're going to pay for it. Take good care of your stuff. A car is just like your body. If you keep up with stuff on an ongoing basis, you don't really end up getting that huge costly repair. Do the same thing with your car. Get those oil changes regularly. Make sure to go to a mechanic that's actually doing a whole car look over, health report. I don't know a better way to say that. I'm not an auto mechanic, but my mechanic does it. And so every time I go, I get a health report of all the different systems, and I get to see things when they're in the green and they're good, when then the yellow is, hey, we got to keep an eye on this, and in the red it's, hey, we really should do something about this because it's affecting the safety or the functionality of the car. Leased cars and trucks. If you have to get a new car, do it. But if you don't have to, please go with the modest car. Please go with the modest car. I think one of the exercises I'm going to do, I might not do it next week. I may have another realtor on, but in coming weeks, I have an entire scenario about, do I go for the dream car with the okay house, or do I go with the dream house and the okay car? How do I balance all of these things? So we have 4 slides similar to what we're looking at here that will explain exactly where you should sit. I think it was something silly along the lines of, every $50,000 in car purchase that you take on, you're actually losing $200,000 in purchasing power towards a home. So that's a big deal, right? Be careful. Hey, I know you may have just gotten a small raise at work, but you're saving to buy a home, and so you're going to flip out of your Hyundai and go buy a Mercedes. This might not be the time to do that. That might not be a great time to do that. I'd probably get in the house first, then buy the car, but to each his own. Let's see the next couple ones, because I actually thought it was funny that pet services, including the vet bills and pets and pet products, but are 10.4 and 9% up. Don't get me wrong, I love my pets. I have 2 cats, and we're going to be adopting a dog here from a local shelter pretty darn soon. And I know that that's an expense that we are going to be taking on, but this is an opportunity for you to take a look at the type of food that you're getting them, make sure you give them something of quality, but where you can start to buy in bulk, try and save yourself some shekels. It's a good idea. And instead of buying a pet products at the store, why don't you just make a cardboard box and put some treats in it? But I digress. Medical equipment and supplies, tools, hardware, outdoor equipment and supplies, rent of shelter. So rent is up, right? We see that. Garbage, trash collection, miscellaneous personal services, domestic services, housekeeping, supply, personal. So a lot of stuff also around the house, right? Miscellaneous personal services, domestic services, housekeeping supply, personal care products, right? All those things, tools, hardware, outdoor, and stores. I should have just put this on Do Not Disturb. So that's interesting too, is that there's a decent amount of these that have to do with the home and have to do with kind of lifestyle items that have gone up too. So again, you should be taking a look at some of the major things that you use in the house. Are you those people that end up buying paper towels twice as many as you should because you forget that you have them there? Maybe have a better system for your inventory of your house. Have a better system for kind of, hey, I'm not completely done that soap. Let me pour it into the next bottle and you can stretch it for another 3 weeks. There are just some things that you can do at home to work on your budget. If affordability is the issue, and we can't change the price of housing, what can we do? We can change our habits and our tactics and what we do with the rest of our affordability, right? If we have 29% that's going to housing, what is the other 71% going towards? And how smart am I being about that 71%? Am I sitting there with credit card debt that's just racking up interest? Am I sitting here buying a lot of stuff that I really don't need, or I'm in my third car in 2 years? These are some of the things we can talk about, and these are some of the things we can think about. Now, here's what I'll offer as we wrap up from today. What I do often with individuals is a budget planning meeting. And it's nothing more. Look, I have a degree in finance. I've taught statistics and I've been in real estate for 8 years. And I read a ton about real estate investing, personal bookkeeping, and things like that. And I'm also going through a massive revamp project with a new accountant that I got that's a real estate professional specific. And they are teaching me all sorts of really good knowledge about how to be a little bit more tactile about my budget and just be a little bit more specific. And I have to say, the emotional weight that has been lifted from my shoulders, just knowing that I have some partners on my side to at least just talk some of this stuff through. Sometimes it's awkward to talk to your mom about it, or your spouse about it, or your kid about it, or your grandparent about it. They're just too close. It's almost like, I don't need them to know every nook and cranny of my finances, right? We just want to have a good Thanksgiving, right? So a realtor or someone like that can be a good person that you can have some of these financial conversations with, so you can at least talk in broad strokes. The other thing I do is sort of a triage, right? When you come into triage, you tell me a little bit about what you got going on, and I'll either send you to the surgical center, send you down to the infectious disease ward. Kind of a morbid example, but you get the point where first you come in and you may say, hey, I need help with just getting an accountant and a bookkeeper. Great, I have recommendations and resources for you for that. You may say, hey, I'm actually just bought a home and we're considering protecting some of our assets. Well, I'm going to put you in touch with somebody from probably Northwestern Mutual or something like that can talk to you about whole and term life insurance and disability insurance programs that you can use to kind of supplement that and protect the homestead, right? You may say, I may need to do something with my investment account. I may have just come into a lot of money from a grandparent that passed away, which is a conversation I just had last week with somebody about figuring out what to do with that. And we put them in touch with a 1031 exchange specialist, right? So anyway, we're going to end up this video here. I'm not really going to take a ton from the stats this week just because it was a weird week with back to school and things like that. Most of our trend lines should continue and they should just kind of eke into our fall and things like that. But these falling prices and raising prices, take a look at your budget, take a look at where you can start to cut a little bit. This should be an ongoing every month project for you and your household. Where can we have the same quality of life and cut 10, 15, 20, 50% of the expense in that category? I leave it to you, but if you ever want to chat with me about it and go through a budget planning meeting, let me know and we'll set that up. All right. See you, everybody. Bye.